question. Representative Deal, with a caravan of thousands of Central Americans making its way to our southern border, President Trump wants a blanket ban on people entering the United States, asylum seekers and children included. Should there be another standard for victims of a humanitarian crisis who want to enter the U.S.?
Well, we already have, refugee status that we allow people in. Now, one of the problems, unfortunately, with the refugee status is it has been abused. We saw it with the Tsarnaev brothers, and I know Mayor Walsh is here. He was serving with me in the legislature. I don't think we ever want to see another tragedy in Boston happen where people were here saying they were refugees, but flying back and forth to Chechnya, being radicalized, and ultimately committed that atrocity. We are a country of immigrants. I love the fact that people want to come to our country. My last name's Deal. I wasn't here originally when this country started, but the fact of the matter is we've got to follow the laws that are set out for immigration. And I'm sorry. And
I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No. And so I think that refugee status, of course, we want to provide for those people who are fleeing terror and oppression. But at the same time, there are people that are coming across the border illegally. We need to end that as well.
So do you agree or disagree with President Trump's blanket ban closing the border to this particular caravan of asylum seekers?
Well, I think this caravan obviously is making its way to attempt to illegally cross in. Whether or not the entire group is refugees is hard to determine at this point. I think what probably should happen is an effort to send judges down there and send personnel down there so that when they do come, we're able to expedite whether or not they are coming here legitimately as a refugee or are they just trying to come in illegally.
Senator Warren, the same question.
So we are a nation of laws, and we need to enforce our laws. And we need comprehensive immigration reform. I mean, that's the much larger picture here. I voted in 2013 for comprehensive immigration reform. It was bipartisan. It had a path to citizenship for those who were here who were not documented. It had a path to citizenship for our dreamers, protection for people with temporary protective status, cleaned up our visa system, and yes, had much more money for border security. It was a compromise. Ultimately, the Republicans blocked it. But understand a big part of why this problem is here right now. This has to do with Donald Trump's failed foreign policy overall. He has hollowed out the State Department and he has cut aid to Central America. That means that the gangs are more powerful than ever. And so that means more people are fleeing the violence. Right now, we need a State Department, we need diplomatic tools, we need economic tools to be helping the countries in Central America to make sure that they've got some law enforcement so that the people are safe to be there. That's what prevents this kind of caravan that we're talking about now. We need to make the investment up front, not to engage in the kind of chaos that he's engaged in at the foreign policy level and the hollowing out of our State Department. It does not make us safer, it does not make us stronger, and it does not fit with our values.
Mr. Deal, do you have anything else you'd like to offer in this round?
We've been able to successfully renegotiate a trade deal with Canada, with Mexico. We're looking to have Mexico be an economic partner in growth for the future. We don't want to have economic chaos, but part of the problem down in Mexico, and I've been there, I went to El Paso, I traveled an hour east to Fort Hancock. I've seen the city of Juarez ravaged by drug cartels that are running the border, all the cities on the border. We're seeing murder, we're seeing human trafficking, and drugs are making their way into Massachusetts. In Lawrence, I know we've got the mayor of Lawrence here. We know that enough fentanyl was seized a few weeks ago to kill half the population of Massachusetts. And I want to make sure I'm a partner in stopping that. That's why having the support of law enforcement, making sure that we complete the border, have a secure border so that there is no temptation to bring those drugs in, doesn't feed the drug cartels that are ravaging Mexico and southern countries as well.